As we draw closer to the new year, Civilization VII is approaching its first year since release. It has been a rocky 12 months for the Civilization franchise as it attempts to steer itself into a more promising future. After implementing a series of controversial game mechanics into the core of every playthrough, developers have backed themselves into a corner of which there may be no way out. Designers have been working furiously, releasing near-monthly patches and a constant stream of both paid and free DLCs in hopes of appeasing disgruntled fans, balancing out the game and making it more of a true Civilization experience. Though the game has improved, because the hole was dug so deep due to these controversial changes, to date, Civ VII has been unable to win back the fans that have walked away. This channel has attempted to engage with fans of the Civilization franchise, searching for ways to improve aspects of the experience that still feel incomplete. In most of these cases, the ideas I've expressed involve major complicated alterations to the game which I have admitted may be impossible. But I do think that there are a number of areas that I see as low-hanging fruit that could easily improve the game that it surprises me that designers haven't already thought of. So for this video, let's take a look at 10 easy changes to Civ VII that could make the experience at least a better version of the game than it is now. Welcome to Civilization Stories, where we explore alternatives to history through the lens of the world's most addictive video game. Number 1. Liberating City-States, or independent powers, but let's call them city-states. The fact that this option doesn't exist shocks the hell out of me. I imagine the reason it doesn't exist is because, once a bonus has been earned from becoming suzerain of a city-state, there is really no incentive to continue to be suzerain afterward since they have provided their most meaningful bonus. What could be a fun twist would be if each city-state had its own unique bonus, like in Civ VI. If a civilization liberated a city-state, it would unlock that unique bonus, only for the civilization that liberates it. This would give players a meaningful reason to fight on behalf of the city-states, hoping to secure those meaningful bonuses. In the current state of Civ VII, there are way too many city-states because the Firaxis history undergrads felt desperate to show that all that tuition money didn't get wasted. The result is that the city-states have absolutely no personality the way they do in Civ VI. Not only should they persist across ages, but imagine liberating Roskilde and getting a plus 50% bonus to all yields when pillaging coastal tiles. Liberating Vatican City and getting an extra charge on religious units. Liberating Stockholm and adding a relic slot to all science buildings. Liberating Istanbul and adding +2 to your settlement cap. Liberating Tenochtitlan and being able to capture defeated enemy units and add them to your army with no unit support cost. Or liberating Antananarivo and getting a gold bonus to all treasure fleets that return to the homeland. The possibilities are endless. Number 2. Let's tweak the settlement cap. Using production to build settlers is already a trade-off. Settlements founded by your own settlers either shouldn't count against your settlement cap, or the settlement cap should be raised, and conquered settlements should count double to your cap than settlements founded by your own settlers. Pushing the idea even further, cities could count as 2 toward the cap, towns only 1, whereas conquered cities remain cities once conquered, but count as 4 against the cap, and conquered towns count as 3. Conquered towns and cities that are retained across ages should also become fully integrated into the civilization. For example, if you conquer a rival city in antiquity, it counts as 4 against your settlement cap. Once the exploration age is reached, since, some 1200 years have passed, that city becomes integrated into the civilization and retains its status as a city, but now only counts as 2 against the cap. Number 3. I don't know about you, but growth events drive me nuts, especially in the late game when, in major cities, it involves adding a specialist to the highest yield tile in my urban centers. Growth events should not add specialists. I think players should only earn specialists when a city completes construction of a building. Growth events should occur similar to culture pops in Civ VI, where when a settlement grows to the next pop, it simply occupies the next best available tile. If there are no more tiles to occupy, a migrant unit is automatically generated that could confer some bonus to that city or another city. I made a whole video about expanding the powers of the migrant unit, so I won't go into too much detail here. But my main goal would be to avoid the constant jumps from city screen to city screen every turn in the late game adding specialists. I know that adding specialists is kind of a key feature of the game, but I also feel that it's the kind of thing that rages out of control over the course of every game. Limiting their number and increasing their importance by only receiving specialists when cities complete a building could go a long way to tamping down those ridiculous late game yields and limiting the specialist snowball. Number 4. Let's take a look at launch pads. What's the point of building multiple launch pads? I know they each get a big science yield, but I don't see the value in getting so much more science that late in the game when the tech tree is almost complete. I see 2 options here. The first, players can only build one launch pad that is needed to conduct all space operations and build all space projects, i.e. you can't build space projects without a launch pad. Limiting the civilization to a single launch pad makes it so that a single city becomes the fulcrum behind which a civilization races to space victory. It becomes like the king in a game of chess, unable to do much else and in need of constant protection. Or, second, players can build multiple launch pads, but instead of providing more science, every launch pad in the Empire cuts the production cost of space race projects. Honestly, this is one of the easiest fixes, and after making several videos showcasing the silliness of the space victory condition, I'm surprised nothing has been done to balance this out. Number 5. Let's look at tech masteries. As it stands, they are kinda cool, but there's little trade-off. Because players no longer need to complete the tech tree, choosing a tech mastery should come at the expense of closing off another tech mastery. It would mean forcing players into making real choices about what their civilization is about. For example, choose the bronze working mastery and get stronger units, but sacrifice the codex and the gold from the currency mastery, which it closes off, and vice versa. The concept of mastery could take on a whole new meaning through the game as each civ becomes a stronger, more specialized version of itself. Players would also have to take note of which civs are making themselves stronger in which areas. They may need to choose masteries to counter the masteries chosen by other players, or choose masteries in areas unexplored by others, believing there is opportunity in specializing in their own way. This could also affect diplomacy. Charlemagne is upset at you for mastering the wheel and believes you plan to attack him, and so on. Number 6. Players should be able to support other civilizations in foreign wars, use influence to help or even hurt their ally, and not have to get involved in the war itself. As it stands, if you are an ally of another civ, if they are at war, you need to enter into the war with them, or the alliance is broken and your diplomatic relations drop to friendly. Civilizations should be allowed to, instead, use influence to add war support to any civilization in a foreign war. It's pretty well known that Ford and GM, American companies, made war machines for the Allies and the Wehrmacht. Similarly, if a player would like to use influence to surreptitiously undermine their ally and add war support to their ally's enemy, they should be allowed. This could be a really interesting way to use influence points to affect the course of the game and give players a hand in helping to determine the course and even outcome of foreign wars in which they prefer not to have direct involvement. Number 7. Let's talk about the Manhattan Project. If I get this one wrong, then forgive me, but I think I've built this right next to major urban centers in my empire. Can you imagine if the Trinity test had been carried out in Central Park? Setting up the Manhattan Project with so much emphasis in Civ 7 placed on city tile management should be a little more tactfully set up. Players hoping to build the Manhattan Project should need to do so on a tile 3 tiles away from any urban district. Doing so should also remove any rural tiles and their yields used around it. I'm not asking for the world here. Make it a tiny challenge that involves a little bit of planning and doesn't involve absurdly detonating the thing in plain view of the peace-loving peeps in your own empire. Number 8. Back again to war support. Right now, only influence points affect war support. I know there's the Gate of All Nations and the militaristic attribute tree, but really it's influence. I think there should be other ways to add or subtract war support. The first would be to offer peace. If a player is at war with a rival and the rival comes to the player offering to end the war, the player should have the choice to agree and end the war, or incur a -2 war support penalty, or a -1 penalty while the rival offering the peace gains +1. You pick. The second way to get extra war support would be by reaching out diplomatically to neighbors at the negotiating table. Offer your friendly civ some of your extra resources in exchange for +1 war support, or support one of their endeavors, etc. Instead of just pumping your influence points into your own war support, finding nifty ways to support or even be neutral in allied endeavors could be a fun way to use diplomacy and become stronger in combat during conflict. Number 9. Continuing with war support, let's look at pillaging. Pillaging, as it stands, has no real downsides. Not only does it help your army push toward military victory, but it offers up scientific, cultural, and economic yields at the same time. The only minor downside is once you capture a targeted settlement, you then have to clean up the mess you made. But let's be honest, that ain't hard. Pillaging should come with some limits where, after a while, a civilization that pillages a certain number of settlement tiles begins to lose war support as their own people start to see the leader who ordered the pillaging as kind of evil. Taken in a different direction, perhaps pillaging could give a player the yields, but it costs a certain, scalable amount of influence to do so. So as you push your army forward into battle, pillaging along the way, allies and rivals could swoop in with endeavors that players will be forced to be neutral on and not be able to benefit from. Either way, aggressive players should eventually see some kind of downside to indiscriminate pillaging during wartime. These penalties should also get stiffer with each age as civilizations modernize and become less barbaric. In fact, pillaging tiles of a civilization that is technologically inferior should come with even greater penalties, as the world and your own people begin to see what your armies are doing as downright bullying the downtrodden and less fortunate. Finally, number 10. Capturing a rival capital city should always earn a militaristic attribute point. It should also move the military legacy path far more quickly than capturing other settlements. As it stands, players earn 1 point for settlements they control. At the moment, you could found 6 settlements in antiquity, never draw a blade, and earn a militaristic legacy point. Kinda silly. You do earn 2 militaristic legacy points for capturing a rival settlement, but that counts even if the AI handed you the city in peace negotiations, which happens a lot. Instead, although I do think players should get extra militaristic legacy points from conquering settlements in actual battle, I think they should get a huge bonus, like 5 militaristic legacy points and an attribute point if they conquer a rival capital city. It's not easy to do and makes a real statement about what a civilization's ambitions are. As I've stated before, I'm not a coder, I'm not a game designer, but all of the ideas mentioned above seem like simple tweaks that keep all of the core gameplay intact. All of these ideas really just involve moving certain points and certain yields in different directions and making some milestones in the game either easier or more challenging to attain, and I think they make a lot more sense. I still feel like Firaxis is focused on the wrong things and that there are so many other simple ways to improve Civ 7 that I've really just scratched the surface. But what do you think? Are any of my ideas any good? Is Civ 7 perfect the way it is? Or what sort of simple ideas do you have that could make Civ 7 even just 1% better? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and remember to keep playing and making your own civilization story, your own amazing path through history, and I'll see you next time.